From Windsor, Ontario, it's Remotely Zach with Zachary Thomas. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Zachary Thomas. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I am your host, everybody's favorite, Zachary Thomas. Thank you. And boy, do we have a great show for you this evening. She is running for the Liberal Party in Windsor West as an MP. Sandra Pupatello is here. It'll be good. And what would a show be without a little weird news and memes? So stay tuned for those. But first, the monologue. Wildfires are raging out of control in British Columbia, and one man may have started it when he was mowing his lawn. Well, you know what they say, when you gotta mow, you gotta mow. Yep, a BC man started the fire, and we have a direct quote, actually, from Smokey the Bear. He was reached for comment. Ah, fuck it. Do whatever the fuck you want. You just don't care anymore. Just don't care anymore, really. It's interesting. Florida Representative Matt Gaetz. Remember him? Gaetz has a little more to worry about after a deleted TikTok video by his fiance's daughter, which seems to be in his preferred age range, him and calls him a gaslighting creep, and details that Gaetz had one of his friends hit on her. Shocking. Matt Gaetz is willing to share? Yep, Gaetz will have a teenage daughter. It'll all be in the new movie, Daddy's Home, only on Pornhub. I think it's going to be a good one. I think it should be a really good one. I mean, then again, maybe not, for legal reasons. Sticking with politics, and oh, what a glorious day in Washington, D.C. House Speaker Nancy Swingin' Pelosi certainly had some choice words for House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. She called him a moron. I think a better name is Trump ass licker. Please, his tongue is so far up Trump's rectum, they're basically attached to each other. Pelosi called McCarthy a moron. Well, we already knew that. She then tried to walk it back. I believe the appropriate answer would have been not denying it, but being like, yeah, I said it and I'll say it again. Hell, I got the gavel. I'm going to call him a fucking moron if I want to. This next story is going to sound made up, but I swear it's not. According to 99.5 WYCD, police in Little Rock, Arkansas were recently informed that a man was harassing women at a local store. They reported he would follow them around and offer to give them foot massages. But here's the thing. He has no arms. You can just hear Hillary being like, "Bail, for crying out loud. Leave that poor woman alone. And pull your sleeves out and pull your arms out of your sleeves." Coming. But can I suckle your toes? Man in Louisiana apparently got a good business idea, and it is now going viral. According to WYCD, again, a new business idea is quickly gaining attention of the small town of Mamou, Louisiana. And it's all thanks to a sign David Aucoin erected on a tract of his land. Here's the thing. I'll give you a hint about what this is, just in case if you're confused. He erected it, but now he has to share that erection with someone else. The sign read, T-Boys Swinger Trailer Park. Bring your house and share your spouse. Better yet, I will bring my house and you can have my spouse. Just take her, please. Yeah, Louisiana, for crying out loud. You're supposed to be the classy one. It was supposed to go from bad to good. Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. But then again, nothing says an anniversary like spending it with these two. It is all part of the upcoming Louisiana campaign slogan, come for the outdoors and stay because you are having sex with your neighbors. That'd be good. Superstar Lenny Kravitz was photographed with his shirt open and a jackhammer. Yes, that's true. It has also been said that this may be a sexy thing, to show a man fixing things, because, that's apparently sexy. Look, I'll fuck you. Just show up. Just show up. Don't do anything. This is just like porn, where the handyman comes in more ways than one and fixes things. Hey girl, can I fix your pipes? You got a leak. Could I probably take care of that? Well, on that note, we've got a great show for you this evening. My guest is Sandra Pupatello. But stay with us because coming up next, weird news. I'll be right back. Join us. Please stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back. Well, we made it to the end of a really long work week, and you know what that means. It's time for the weirdest news found on the internet. That's right, it's time for Weird News featuring Florida Man. Police in a small Indiana town are looking for a woman who is putting homeowners in a shitty situation. Now, I know what you're thinking. Zach, it's not Florida? Nope. According to Global News, authorities say they've cracked the case of a woman who has been pooping on neighborhood lawns during her early morning jogs. Officers urged the unidentified woman to seek professional help, though she still may face charges. Shouldn't be difficult to identify her, just follow the shits. 1, 2, 3, 4. Time to go to the place where the only turd is the governor. It's time for...
Florida Man, Florida Man, does whatever a Florida man can. Look out, here comes the Florida Man.
Florida Man. You know the phrase, when you gotta go, you gotta go? Well, a 35-year-old Windsor Park man was arrested on allegations of urinating in the middle of a roadway while directing traffic. Jesus, don't Americans use bathrooms? I mean, there's one right there, just go into the coffee shop. Terrence Rouse was arrested around 1 p.m. Friday in Fern Park on charges of indecent exposure of sexual organs and the possession or use of drug equipment. Yet, instead of putting his dick away, he just swung it to the right and swung it to the left. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Next up. Couple celebrating their anniversary had quite the view during their dinner. According to Mirror UK, John Wood and his wife were completely baffled when they looked up to see a party of naturists waving at them from the nude cruise, and not with their hands. The couple were absolutely baffled to discover that the passing boat was the Torbay Sun Club's annual nude cruise, where naturists set off from Exmouth Dock, with nothing but their personal luggage and maybe a little junk in the trunk. Naturists are encouraged to socialize and meet like-minded people while on board the annual event, which sees people stripped down to their birthday suits. I would find it really difficult to eat a wiener schnitzel while looking at an actual wiener. Well, that's the weirdness for this week. Dad joke alert. How do you follow Will Smith in the snow? You follow the Fresh Prince. Seriously, you can't make this shit up. We'll be right back with more Remotely Zach after this. Join us, please. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I promise. Maybe that's a stretch. I don't know. It'll be good. If you made it to the end of this video, remember to please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, as well as give us a big old thumbs up. And also, check out our other videos here as well. Please, I'm not allowed to get up until you do. Welcome back, everybody. My guest this evening is a local politician who ran in the previous election and came out unsuccessful. She recently announced that she will be running as a Liberal candidate for Windsor West in the next election. Please welcome to the show, Sandra Pupatello. Sandra, how are you?
Good, thanks, Zach. Thanks for having me. And I do want to add to your intro to remind people that I was their member of provincial parliament for 16 years in the riding of Windsor West. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about what we did in those years, especially when we were part of the government. And Dwight Duncan and I were both ministers of the Crown for 8 years while I was there, and delivered a number of things for the community that we're still enjoying today. So I want to get back at that kind of a delivery for the community.
So, Sandra, now that you're running for Windsor West, what is your vision for that community?
Well, I think that when we see issues coming out of the pandemic, it's all changed. 2 years ago, I think we would have been talking about different things. Now we have to talk about an economic recovery for Windsor and Southern Ontario, which is very different from what it might have been a couple of years ago before this pandemic. Now our competition is fiercer than it ever was because the whole world is trying to sort out how do we get our feet back on track? What is the government's role going to be, especially for small business, for retail, where a ton of jobs are in our community related to tourism, restaurant business, and our manufacturers, where we see supply chain hiccups all over the world? What are we doing about it? So hopefully you notice some of the information that's out there now about me launching Reshoring Canada, a specific organization that it's meant to inform and actually assist Canadian companies, especially in the manufacturing space, which is our hometown, figure out what to do to make their supply chain more resilient and more modern, so that we can create and keep good jobs.
So what what kind of what do you see for the economic recovery? Like, what are you going to put to the table?
Well, hopefully, a lot of people will remember when I was the Minister of Economic Development and Trade for Ontario. We landed a ton of work for our area. And remember, we had a big hiccup in those years too. I took that portfolio over right at the beginning of the recession that they then dubbed the Great Recession. And we needed a government that was going to be nimble, and you needed people at the table that actually are part of the decision makers. And that's been the difference the last 20 years in Windsor West. We haven't had that. But I had that experience provincially, where when our Chrysler GM companies, which of course thousands of jobs supply those two OEs as well as those plants themselves, we had to bail them out. So you needed strong local voices that actually are in the government to make that bailout happen. And I had the honor of being a part of that bailout when Windsor needed it most. The next example I'll use is the Ford Essex engine plant, which Ford International made an announcement that they were going to close all kinds of plants all over the world. The Essex engine plant in Windsor became the only plant where they actually reversed that decision. So the people today working at Ford right here in our backyard with all of those great paying jobs, it's there because we had a local voice in government who could make decisions and just make it happen. And we did. I worked very closely with Joe Honricks, which is a name many Ford employees will know because he used to be the CEO for Ford Canada. And it's the relationships that I could then garner and use to get information that we needed to find the bailout money in government, because we were in government, and save that plant. So that's the type of thing that people need to see. It doesn't matter what the issue is, it's that you have the creativity and the power to get the solutions for Windsor. So every time we hear the same old story over and over again about the same issues, it only shows that we're still talking about those issues after years because we haven't had the voice that can actually deliver the solution. And I'm determined that Windsor deserves more than that. It's been 20 years, and I think it's time for a change. I think it's time to have somebody who can deliver for the city, not just keep talking about the same issues to sort of prove that we can't get that job done.
It's very interesting you say that. So we were talking about this a little before we went on the air. There are people in elections who are technically called swing voters. They may not particularly be stuck for one candidate. How do you plan on getting some or crossover votes from somebody who might be an NDP or conservative to get them on your side?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm hearing so far because I've already started canvassing. I've been going door to door and meeting people already. And what they're saying to me, they're being very open. You know, I don't usually vote Liberal, but I will tell you that the pandemic was something we have never seen before. And I'm impressed with how this government responded. They got money in the hands of people who needed it right away. And then they kept going with that level of support for small business. It was programs like SEBA. And now they're realizing that when that then got extended, because unfortunately the pandemic went even longer. So they're saying, I get it that like I've been on the planet long enough to know that you don't know what's going to come your way in terms of a problem. You just need to be able to solve it. And our government really did step up. And I do think that the response to this pandemic has actually changed people's minds. They said, we might not think you're perfect, but in this pandemic, you did deliver for us. I'm hearing that especially from a lot of women who had to stay home to take care of kids, because we know what the issues were provincially with the education system and where was their support. I'm pretty anxious to get Ontario to sign up with that national $10 a day child daycare program. That's going to be critical for us. That's a Liberal government delivering for women because we need them in the workforce. So there are a number of key items that are really resonating with people that, quite frankly, it's the Liberal government that's delivering. My job is to make sure people realize that the Liberal government is the one that's delivering for our community.
But interesting you mentioned delivering for the women. What about the men? What do we get?
Well, if it was a more egalitarian environment, I think we would be talking about parents more generally. But we know with this pandemic that the lion's share of people that had to stay home, the lion's share of people who did lose their jobs, the greatest majority, it was women. And that's just the reality of our world and families. More women lost their jobs because they tend to be more in the service industries. And the service industries were the ones that just got shut down completely and then stayed shut down. So by way of contrast, the manufacturers had that first month of that quarter of March 2020 in that shutdown. But then things started to recover and they went back to work under some really, critical protocols for the pandemic. That didn't happen for our restaurants. That didn't happen for a lot of our retail, where a lot of women, well, frankly, the majority of workers there are women. And so they were much more affected, much more long term. So we've got to worry about that. We've got a shortage coming up that's facing us right now. And women are a huge solution to that. If we can get them into the workforce, all of us are going to be better for it.
Yeah, I only ask because there are going to be some men that watch this and it's like, what do we get?
Well, they're going to get their wives back into the workforce, which is what their household needs, because that's what they were used to before. Let's face it, all of us are living the dream. You've got both parents working, therefore you're in a home where you need both parents working. And when this pandemic hit, it was a big smack in the head, like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We thought we had pretty good jobs. So it kind of opened the door to how resilient can we be, and who's there to help us? Well, I have to say the Liberal government proved they could get the money into their hands within days. And frankly, that saved a lot of people. And what I'm hearing now is that they appreciate it. They knew it was a big risk. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. And now that things are, hopefully we're at the tail end of a pandemic, now we have to start talking about a recovery. And for Windsor, I'm going to stand on my record. I have that experience to be chasing people around economic development for my community. I know what our strengths are. We delivered a new engineering school when I was the minister. That is the future of our workforce. A new medical school. That's the future of families having family doctors with our specialty. That's what we did when you are in government. So I'm asking Windsor West to say, look, we've had 20 years. It's time for a change. Give me a chance and I'm going to prove myself just like I did when I was your provincial representative.
So in the age of COVID, how do you plan on getting out there? Like will you be going out meeting people, or kind of how are you going to focus your campaign around the
Fortunately,
COVID?
people are being pretty good about it. So when I go to the door and they answer the door, I step back so we always have appropriate distance. I always have my mask on me in case people want everybody to stay masked. But we've got a group of people. First, we're outdoors, so that's helpful. We're not going inside to people's houses. And I have to say, it's almost like refreshing that people have someone knocking at door because they haven't had that in a while. And then when they open the door and then they see it's me, fortunately, people have been very friendly. So I'm grateful for that. Some of them are just saying, I'm so glad you're back. They know how close the election was last time. And we came from a distant third as a party. And in one fell swoop 2 years ago, we almost cinched it. And this time I'm starting earlier, I'm working harder, and people are realizing that if they really want me as their MP, they've got to get out and vote. And I hope that they'll help me get there, because I think we've got lots of work that we can do together. Zach, I'll be looking forward to working with you to help getting the message out about what a good Liberal government can do for people in Windsor West.
And please come back anytime. Come back anytime, really, especially as we get closer to that election.
Good. Well, congratulations to you on being a budding future media host, because you're starting with a podcast here, but there's lots of places that you'll be able to go, the more people that watch. So I'll be encouraging everybody to have a look at this podcast in particular.
Yes. And okay, so there's a game I like to play with each one of my guests. It's called 3 Questions With, where I'll ask you a series of random questions, and you have the option to pass on one of them.
Okay.
Choose wisely.
Okay.
That's what
So
I always
3 questions. I'll try to answer them all.
So what music does Sandra Pupatello listen to in the car?
Oh, do I have to admit, I'm a country music girl, okay?
So am I.
Listen, I was country before it was cool, and in Windsor, let's just say that, because it's always been cool in Nashville. Like, one of the highlights of my trips was going to Nashville and actually going into the country music bar where they would tape that show that was on television with all the line dancing. So that was like a highlight for me. Anyway, and when people used to get in my car and the radio would come on, they would give me this like, seriously, you're listening to country? But now, well, the rest of the world's caught up with us. Let's say that.
All right. First of all, let me just say right here, right now, I too am a country fan. And
you get extra marks for that.
it's no different than listening to pop, rock, rap. So just the fact that looking down on country, if you're watching, get over that, because I will not take it.
With you. Did you ever hear that joke? What do you do when you play a country music record backwards? You get your wife back, you get your dog back, you get your house back.
That is literally like one of my favorite Rascal Flatts songs of all time. So, and there are many, but that.
I love Rascal Flatts. I love that. Oh, good for you. Okay, what else?
All right, next one. So if you were not a politician, what job would you have today? If you were not a politician.
Okay. I would be a management consultant specializing in economic development, which is a very easy answer, because that's kind of what I do. I started a company 10 years ago when I left provincial politics, and I've been doing that ever since. And so the consulting work that I really enjoy is actually working with companies when they're doing strategizing for their development. So it's pretty cool. It's all in the same kind of work.
And also, finally, do you have any family members that are not of the same political party as you are?
Oh, you know what? I have had, and fortunately, they've all come on side. So I think they recognize that that some are there's never going to be a way for them to be the government. So then they realize, so they can have all the great ideas in the world, but they will never have an opportunity to implement. So they also recognize that, I think the older they get, the more they realize you have to be in the government to actually make it happen. And second, they become more practical. So they'll say, okay, now that I'm paying taxes, I'm starting to watch how government's spending its money, and I actually have to worry about those things. So it's kind of funny how I think most people start to gravitate to the center. But I'm very fortunate that my family's been very supportive and very helpful. Now, if I could get them to all move into the riding of Windsor West, that would be even better.
You get the whole Thanksgiving vote, get the whole family vote right there.
That's right. That's right. Oh, but listen, don't kid yourself. My family is, they're like the best grounding unit for me, because it doesn't matter. You go off to do all these things. You have to have people around you that always remind you about the things that really matter in day-to-day living, you know? So I felt like I had a really good provincial career because I kept people around me that were just bloody honest and would tell me the truth all the time. No blowing smoke my way. You know, you really have to level with your politicians so they know what people are really thinking.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much, Sandra, for coming on the program this evening.
You bet.
And also, we'll be right back. More Remotely Zach. Sandra Pupatello. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Take care.
If you made it to the end of this video, remember to please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, as well as give us a big old thumbs up. And also, check out our other videos here as well. Please, I'm not allowed to get up until you do. Hey everybody, welcome back. Now, there's a segment I love to do called Memed. Now, with the Olympics going on in Tokyo, I thought it would be a great time to do an Olympic version. So here we go, it is time for Memed at the Olympics. Alrighty, first up, looks like the Queen. Go to the Olympics, they said. It'll be fun, they said. I'm just going to sit here and wait for the men's swim team so I can see them in their tight Speedos. Bring in the men in their tight Speedos. Next up, Mom brought Nutella again. Yeah, Nutella, yeah! You know there are some people watching this for a specific reason. Trump is only watching the Olympics to see how high the Mexican pole vaulters can go. I need to make it a little taller. Don't you hate it when you're caught on camera at the wrong time at either a concert or anywhere else? Well, going for the gold. Well, that's the show this evening. I want to say thanks to my guest, Sandra Pupatello, and those of you who tuned in. Remember to give us a big old thumbs up. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow us on our social medias as well. I've been your host, Zachary Thomas, and I'll see you next time. Same place, same time, right here. Good night. If you made it to the end of this video, remember to please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, as well as give us a big old thumbs up. And also, check out our other videos here as well. Please, I'm not allowed to get up until you do. If you made it to the end of this video, remember to please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, as well as give us a big old thumbs up. And also, check out our other videos here as well. Please, I'm not allowed to get up until you do.